And another one. I've been thinking about this subject over the last few days since it was mentioned on the Pat McAfee show. And all information, videos, audios is fair use. But I want to say that today's show is Big Three. Lemedia is at it again. And I say Lemedia because this has been calculated, orchestrated, and manipulated to try to create a narrative that rewrites history. The great comedian Eddie Murphy had a skit that he basically said when he was caught cheating by his lady, and he says she catches him in the bedroom and catches him in the act as he slowly is putting his clothes on. I can't believe you. I can't believe you. I can't believe you would do this to me. And he calmly, as he's putting on his clothes, as the other lady is leaving, says, who you gonna believe? Me or your lying eyes? Rich Paul and Lemedia is trying to do that to you. They're trying to rewrite history. Now, Chris Bosh is not a Big Three member of the Miami Heat. So let's share this video where Rich is essentially at it again. You can't make this stuff up. Check this out.
I don't really, people talk Big Three, but the Big Three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a Big Three. There was three guys that went in the lottery and they did really well individually on their team. So they put up big numbers and had big accomplishments. But when you think about it, Bosh was the ultimate professional. He took a back seat and he played a role in which, because he had such a high IQ and he was such a professional as an individual, his approach to everything is what made that work. When you look in Boston, okay, you can say Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce was a Big Three. Again, thinking about names, but the way that offense was ran, Rondo's capability during that time, it was a lot different. When you've seen people go for that, it never really worked. And I've had this conversation with several different, owners of teams and having this.
So again, now for the blind witnesses, you're going to say, see, even Rich Paul says it was not a Big Three. Rich and Lemedia are strategic. They get on Pat McAfee's show because they're not going to get pushback to what he's saying. Pat's just glad to have him on. If you notice, they make sure they go on Pat McAfee's show, but he's not going to go on First Take and go at it with Stephen A. Smith, who's going to debate them back. He's not going to go anywhere where there's going to be pushback. So let me help you guys refresh your proverbial memories, because this rewriting of history, let me share you some numbers. If I think I can see it, I don't know if I added it or not, but this rewriting of history is what they are trying to do. They want to rewrite history and make you not remember, right? So let me give you an idea. I don't know if I have it here or not, but I want to play the video because when Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade joined with LeBron James coming to the Miami Heat, in the words of Dave Chappelle, it's a celebration, because that's what it was. because you took three guys in the prime of their career, three of the top 5 draft picks coming on one team, two of the best top 3 players in the world, Craig, on the same team. LeBron was either 1 or 2, with Kobe being number 1 at that point, and you had LeBron and you had D-Wade. These were 2 of the top 3 players in the world on the same team. Chris Bosh was a top 10 player at that time. Let's show you some numbers for Chris Bosh before he joined the Miami Heat. And I want you to understand how big threes work, because what Rich Paul is doing, while you always lying, he's lying, because this is an agenda to try to rewrite history so that LeBron's failures are not as big as we all know they were. When I say we, meaning everyone that is not a blind witness, that's not on Clutch's payroll, aka Lemedia, that's not these dudes. These are the reason why you believe the lies that they tell. This is the reason why this is perpetuated throughout the media. And anyone that says anything negative or gives any pushback, the insecurity of LeBron James and his minions is unbelievable. They argue things that lack context and logic. They will blame Michael Jordan for losing to the Boston Celtics when he was a second-year rookie coming back after missing 60-something plus games that season and still was able to take his team to the playoffs in his first 2 years. LeBron didn't make the playoffs in his first 2 seasons. Michael Jordan did. But Michael Jordan gets penalized to the LeBron people because of these folks. They say, well, he couldn't beat Larry Bird. Was Larry Bird playing Michael Jordan one-on-one? Was not the Boston Celtics have one of the original big threes? Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish. But hold up, there were other guys on that team that were also Hall of Famers. Dennis Johnson, who was an MVP of the finals back in, I believe, 78 season with the Seattle Supersonics. Yeah. And was a defensive player, was a very well-known defensive stopper. They also had Bill Martin on that team. That is one of the 3 or 4 greatest teams in NBA history, that Michael Jordan, as a second-year player coming back from a foot injury, missing 60-something games, averaged 43 in that 3-game series. And still, as of today, an NBA playoff record of 63 points in his second NBA season. Yet, they would tell you that LeBron, when he led Cleveland to the finals when he was, 22, 23 years old in his fourth season, that this is the greatest accomplishment that he was able to do. When the Eastern Conference best team that season in 2007 was the Detroit Pistons, who won 53 games. Cleveland was second at 50 wins. That's how bad the East was. The Eastern Conference. And when he got to the finals, he averaged 22 points, shot 20-something% from three-point range, and 30-something% from the field in the closest sweep in NBA history till they lost to the San Antonio Spurs. Oh, but he lost to the Spurs. He was too young to win that. What? But Jordan was supposed to beat the big 3 Celtics that had 2 other Hall of Famers, other really good players, in his second season in the NBA, coming off of a foot injury where he averaged 43. So it wasn't because of him that they lost. Unlike LeBron, who couldn't hit a jump shot. They just zoned off and make him shoot jump shots. And that's why they lost, because they made him a jump shooter. But they don't want to tell you this because Lemedia is at play here. This is what's going on. They don't want to tell you that. In a 3-game series that he got swept against the legendary Celtics. But you want to give LeBron a pass for losing to the 58-win Third seeded Spurs in the West. They weren't even the top one or two teams in the West that year. It was Dallas and I forget who the other team was. That was the better team in the regular season. So this is what we're talking about. And we go to 2011. The GOAT conversation is over at that point. He's eliminated completely with a super team. You want to know how super it was? Well, let's just show you how super it was. But let me show you Chris Bosh's numbers before he joined the Miami Heat, the very previous season, and he was in the running for MVP. Finished, I believe, in the top 7, 8 in MVP votes. Check this out. Here's Chris Bosh's numbers. Scoring leaders that particular season, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh. This is why they had a big three and why they were called the Heatles. Not what Rich Paul is trying to do by rewriting history. Rich Paul is the same guy that told you today's athletes, basketball is like an electric car compared to the 80s and 70s as a horse and carriage. The disrespect. You got a coach of the Los Angeles Lakers who disrespects Hall of Famers like Bob Cousy and says he was a plumber and they played against plumbers. As if J.J. Redick was a great NBA player. He was not. This is what I'm talking about. So let's show you this video just for you guys can see how excited Miami was to get let's see if this is the right video. Let's try it again. Well, let me remove him first. Hold on for a second. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about someone who was a celebration. It was literally a celebration when this man was able to come and join the Heat. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Where is it? Let's see. Let me open this up and see if this is it. No, not the right one. Oh, you know what? I want to share with you guys. I'm going to take that one back. I'm going to stop that one because that's not the video. That's the same video. But there is a literal celebration. Let's see. Of not one, not two. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see if this is it. There we go. Watch this. Not the right video. All right. Okay. We're dealing with the same issue. All right. Let's go back. I am trying to find this video that I can play for you guys because it is. Even LeBron is now working on. Oh, okay. Let's play this one real quick because I want you to hear from an actual teammate.
I'm telling you, CB, if he stayed healthy, would have been still be playing.
Everybody think that our most important player was Bron. Our most important player, not our best player, but our most important player was CB.
Yeah, damn.
He was our most important player. Because if Bron went down, you could bring in D Wade, and it's not the same player, but you're gonna get similar results of what you're gonna get out of the player. Making plays, he can go for 30. We couldn't simulate it. We ain't have another CB. If that went down and he got hurt, we didn't have another one of those.
And the way Spo started using him too was impossible to guard. Like he was shooting threes. Like he was.
That's why
that man was cold, brother.
Nah, he closed it out on threes as a big.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that was back when
picking
no
pop
one
threes too.
did that.
Nah,
Yeah,
Picking pop threes.
So you just heard from Udonis Haslem. You just heard from Udonis Haslem as well as Miller talking about how crucial it was to have Chris Bosh. He was the most important player. This is coming from an actual teammate. I don't care about what Rich Paul is telling you. He's lying. I don't care about what the clutch plants are telling you. I am telling you, you heard it from the horse's mouth about how important Chris Bosh was to the Heat from Udonis Haslem. So we have to stop this foolishness that we consistently are getting and listening to the liars continue to lie. It literally drives me crazy when I hear these types of things because I know they're lying to you. And the truth is something that's on display. There's nothing being authentic about what they're saying at that point. He's lying. I know he's lying. He knows he's lying, but because people are such fanboys, they don't understand when somebody's lying. So let me take a quick commercial break just so I can pay some bills. But Rich Paul, at some point, man, stop.
It's a bird!
It's a plane!
No, it's Super Roth!
Okay, a gimmicky opening for a commercial about Super Roth Universal Life Insurance, but I'm sure it got your attention. Now, what is a Super Roth, you ask? It's a permanent indexed universal life insurance that's totally liquid and easily accessible once it matures. Can be used to supplement retirement savings or a death benefit, or both. Has no income or contribution limit. Has no 5-year rule like Roth IRAs. Has no 10% penalty for accessing the funds before age 59 and a half. Oh, and the average historical returns are 5 to 7% annually, tax-free. Super Roths also lock in gains, which means you don't lose your money when the market is down. Sounds incredible, right? Sounds super? Super Roths are the way of the future, specifically your future. To see if you qualify for a Super Roth, go online to thesuperroth.com.
Now, more than ever, all U.S. veterans need your help. If you have an old car, truck, or van, you can donate it today and help them. And they'll come pick it up for free. Plus, the money raised helps our nation's disabled veterans and their families. Call the number on your screen right now. Within a few days, we'll come and tow it away for free, running or not. And the proceeds greatly help U.S. veterans. So please call right now.
Today we're comparing blue pills, the name brand, with our generic little blue pill.
Okay, so what's the difference?
The name brand pills have the brand name from a large pharmaceutical company engraved on each pill.
What does that do?
It makes them cost a lot more. Both pills have the same active ingredient, which allows you to be, well, more active.
Don't pay more for the name, pay less for the pill. Get our generic blue pill for as little as $2 each. Call right now for yours.
Again, man, I'm telling you. Cut. Listen, man. These shows are hard, man, sometimes because I'm such an advocate for truth that when I hear the most ridiculous things being stated, it just drives you crazy. And so, you know, all you can do sometimes is just deal with it, but it still drives you crazy because if I was a channel that was about LeBron and supporting whatever the lie is and whatever I'd say the lack of integrity is, I'd have way more supporters because the current LeBron fan base, they're younger. So they don't really know. Like I see people just state stuff and think it's the truth. Like, oh, LeBron is just obviously so much better than Jordan. And then when you ask him a question, so is he a better offensive player? And they'll say, well, no. But look at him. He's got the record. Yeah, but the average points per game, Michael Jordan. Playoffs, regular season, it's Michael Jordan, the highest ever. Well, LeBron's he's the all-time scorer leader. Well, Kareem was the all-time lead scoring leader, and you never said it was Kareem, right? Well, no. Well, LeBron, is he a better defensive player? Well, yeah, look at the chase down block. Well, did we forget about the steal that Michael Jordan had in Game 6 in Utah in 98, where he stole the ball from one of the greatest players ever who ever played the game in Karl Malone, who's what is he? Third leading scorer in history of the NBA. He stole the ball, came down, and then hit the clutch shot to win the championship. We never talk about the steal, though. We talk about the chase down block, which was really a goaltend, if you really want to be honest. But it is what it is. So these are the things that are often said, but memory, and thank God for video and history, and we can go back and we can remember how the big three is not always about, oh, well, you got to score 30, I got to score 30, and you score 30. That's 60, 90 points between the three of them. That's not how that works. There's always someone that has to sacrifice some of his game. It doesn't mean you're still not a big three, Rich Paul, and you know this. So you think Larry Bird, who was the leading scorer for the Celtics, you think Kevin McHale was going to score the same amount as Larry Bird? You think Robert Parrish was going to score the same? No. When you go to the Lakers, you had Magic, who was the leading assist guy, up there in rebounds. Kareem was going to be the leading scorer, and you had James Worthy, big game James. That was a real big three. Then they had Michael Cooper, another Hall of Famer. Bob McAdoo was on that team, which was a Hall of Fame. They had guys that played their role. It still did not diminish that they were a big three. Oh, let's go to the Celtics, which he mentioned in that interview. So you're telling me that Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen weren't big threes because somebody sacrificed a little bit of their game to work? The reason why it worked is because you took three superstars and you put them together. That is the definition of a big three, especially in the modern era, where LeBron has been the team leader in creating super teams driven by players. Is he the first big three, the first super? No, but he is the first superstar to come and create a team themselves, not management. And when people say, oh, the Bulls were a big three, no, they weren't. That was not a big three. If you look at it, I showed you guys a stat before where there's a stat of 10 out of 10 finals. Michael Jordan, in the 6 of them, had the least supporting help scoring wise. And he was right there with Pippen, with steals and blocks, and right there with assists. Matter of fact, in the 91 finals, when they beat the Lakers, Jordan led the team in scoring and assists. Dennis Rodman was 37 when he joined the Bulls and was a cast-off that nobody wanted. Remember him kicking the photographer in the lower area when he played with the Spurs? Nobody wanted him. Jordan says when they talked about bringing him over because the Bulls needed a power forward to replace Horace Grant, who was not a big three, but he was a solid piece to the Chicago Bulls team. He was the 3rd best player on that team prior to him leaving and going to Orlando. But it wasn't considered a big three because Horace Grant was never the all-star. He was never the all-NBA player. There's an idiot on, I'm not going to tell his name, but he has different handles on X. One of them is Myth something, and he uses something else. He comes with the most abstract, obscure stats and then tried to claim that Horace Grant was a better player than Chris Bosh and said that Boston played defense. A lie to support LeBron. But I want to show you something, and this is the reason why we know this was a big three. Watch this.
Things came down here to win championships. Not one, championships.
Not two.
LeBron, tell us about that.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. Hey, and when I say that, I really believe it.
Y'all didn't hear that again? And when I say that, I really believe it. This is what LeBron said when he joined the Heat. So if he didn't get, and did you see who was on the stage? Did you pay attention to who was on the stage? It was LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. There were no other Heat around at the time because they had to build the team because the bulk of the salary was going to these three mega players. And in the finals, by the way, since they claimed there was no big three, Chris Bosh averaged more points and rebounds than LeBron James did in 2011. So it was really a big two because LeBron was missing in action. He was literally MIA. So stop lying. Oh, and the other guy who said, oh, Bosh didn't do anything. He didn't play any defense. Okay, hold on. So if it wasn't for Chris Bosh in the 2013 series, when the Heat were down to the Spurs and on the verge of, they had the rope and the parade already about to start. The parade, the rope and the celebration was on the verge. When Chris Bosh grabs the rebound off of the missed shot by LeBron and was able to locate Ray Allen for the big, huge three to tie the game and send it to overtime. And guess what? In overtime, Mr. Bosh was also very critical for what the Heat needed. Let's show you what he did in that moment. Show you in a second once we get through this commercial that I'm not paying for. This is the stuff that we're talking about. So let's go ahead and share the screen.
Bosh, good help. Parker blocked by Bosh. James the rebound. And a foul call against San Antonio. And same with off splitter. Be above him. Trap the shooter. They need a three. Green trying to get free. Cross court pass to Green. Green blocked by Bosh. Game over. There'll be a game.
So again, not a big three, right? The man was clutch and came up with a tremendous rebound and assist and had two big blocks to secure the game 6, which led to game 7, and the Heat ended up pulling it out. Keep in mind, this was an old Tim Duncan, an old Duncan. And then they came back the next year and beat the Heat in record numbers. And by the way, Chris Bosh was an all-star every single year with the Heat. Prior to being a 5-time all-star with the Toronto Raptors, an all-NBA player. But he wasn't a big three. See, what's going to happen next is that they're going to try to tell you the next guy that wasn't a big three is Kevin Love. Mark my words. He's next, that he wasn't a big three, even though he averaged tremendous numbers in Minnesota and sacrificed his game like Chris Bosh had to because LeBron James has to play with the ball. He can't play off ball because he's not a shooter. He doesn't have a mid-range game. That's why. So he's next. Anthony Davis, he's getting thrown under the bus. He'll be next after that. They claimed he stayed injured, but in the bubble championship, Anthony Davis led the the Los Angeles Lakers in points and rebounds and blocks. These are facts throughout the entire playoffs and would have been and probably still should have been the MVP of the finals, but that was already written in stone what was going to happen. So these are the things that we must tell the truth about. So let me show you an example of LeBron's teammates and how big they have been. I want you to zoom in on this number. Take a look at this. These are the types of teammates that he's had. How good these guys have been. So let's look at it. Kyrie Irving was the #1 overall pick. Rookie of the year, by the way. Chris Bosh was the 4th pick in the draft. They both had 3 and 7-year careers before playing with LeBron. One, again, was rookie of the year. That was Kyrie. 1 All-NBA, 7 All-Stars, 1 All-Star MVP. These are the actual numbers. Now let's go look at what he's had with Anthony Davis, who was the #1 pick, and Kevin Love, #5 pick from the NCAA, division champion, I believe Anthony Davis, I think they won a championship at Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. He was a one-time rebound champ, 3-time shot blocking champ, 5-time All-NBA, 3-time All-Defensive, 9-time All-Stars, 1-time MIP, 7 and 6-year careers. Look at their numbers on the screen. Now, when you look at this other one, here's Dwayne Wade with Luka Doncic, the number 5 pick, the number 3 pick. He played in Division One. And Luka Doncic played internationally. We're talking about these guys were 2-time scoring champions. One time was a Finals MVP prior to getting with LeBron in Miami, which is why people were upset because he went with a guy who not only was the second or third best player in the NBA, he was also a Finals MVP a few years earlier. 10 All-NBAs. So he got these guys as teammates at Kyrie at age 22, Luka at age 25, Bosh at age 26, Love at age 26, 80 at age 26, Wade at age 28. And before LeBron being LeBron's teammates, 27 All-Star appearances between these guys, 16 All-NBAs, 6-time All-Defense, 2-time scoring champions, 1-time rebound champion, 3-time shot block champion, 1-time Finals MVP, 2 times Rookie of the Year between these guys. But we're going to talk about a guy who has played with more help than the Avengers could assemble. He has played with the Justice League and the Avengers. And somehow you guys will fix your mouth to say he's the greatest of all time. When Dr. J, one of the greatest players ever, told him he has LeBron at number 15. Now, I don't think he's number 15. I think he's in the top 10 easily. And he's probably top 5 in my opinion. I think if I look at the top 5 all-time greatest players, Michael Jordan is obviously number 1. He has the highest PR. He's the only guy that has done something 4 times that nobody else has ever done. And that was be Finals MVP, League MVP, scoring champion, led the playoffs in scoring, first team all defense, all-star, all of these things in this, and it's been done 4 times only by one guy, and that's Michael Jordan. Kareem, Kobe. This is the most disrespected player in the history of basketball. The guy who was finished, 4th all-time in scoring. He has 5 NBA championships. He three-peated. He almost three-peated again, making Pau Gasol, by the way, who LeBron fans will claim was super, super unbelievably great. Look at his numbers compared to Chris Bosh. He was a one-time All-Star before joining Kobe in Memphis as a reserve. Look at his numbers compared to Kevin Love. He was not better than either one of those guys. Kobe made Pau Gasol who he is and who he became as a player. That's who all Kobe needed. Michael, they say Michael never won without Scottie because he was 1-9. Scottie averaged 7 points that playoffs, while Jordan was putting up 50. Scottie Pippen is not a better player. I'm going to say this right now. He is not a better player than Anthony Davis. He is not the guy you're going to take and say, take over the game, Scottie. He's not a player than Dwayne Wade. He's not a better player than Luka Doncic. I don't really believe he's not a more skilled, talented player offensively than Kyrie Irving. You couldn't depend on him to hit a big shot. Name me the big shot that Scottie Pippen hit in the playoffs or the finals to help the Bulls win a championship. Show me. Show me. There are none. And finally, as we come to a conclusion, I think I've stated my case. As we talked about, sometimes I'm he, like Mike. In the great words of the great Dr. Shaquille O'Neal, nobody will ever say, be like Bron. Is that hating? Or is that just simply more facts that y'all can't stand? This is Sportsbucks with Steve, brother. I'm going to go ahead and go on out of here and get this outro. Y'all enjoy yourselves. Let's get ready for the draft. We'll be doing that live show. I'll holler. This is all we got. It's all it's going to be. Until next time, may y'all love each other, enjoy each other, and be truthful. Because that is something that is simply not in display or on display. I'm out.